Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome to the official Good Doctor After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. Tonight, we are breaking down Season 2, Episode 1, Hello. What a season premiere. We start off with the residents getting reviews. It's Jared's last day at St. Bonaventure, and we have a new president. We've got so much to talk about, so stick around.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome everyone. We are so excited. This is the first time we get to do this show.
Which is awesome.
I know.
That's crazy.
So thank you so much for tuning in. We love the show. We are so happy that we get the chance to talk about it. I'm Veronica Valencia, and joining me this season, we have a great panel. Ladies, introduce yourselves.
Hi, AfterBuzzers. My name is Taqualia. Come chat with me at Taqualia_I am and be chatting with us on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, I'm Carlina Will, and I see you in the chat room. Shout out to Sheldon and Billie Jean Girl. Hey guys.
Coming up later in the show, we are going to be talking all about Jared and Shaun, with it being Jared's last day. Dive into a little bit with him and Claire's previous relationship. Dr. Andrews is now president, and of course, Dr. Glassman and his journey with cancer. But before we get into any of that, ladies, our overall thoughts of the season 2 premiere.
I didn't think I was going to be as sensitive, might be the right word, that Jared is leaving. I'm glad we do get to see him, I guess, for this first episode. But I kind of wanted maybe 2, just to stretch it as long as I could, or maybe because I felt like they were going to be a surprise that he was going to be able to stay, but we know he doesn't. So I was just a little upset about that.
I really am excited to dive into Shaun supporting Dr. Glassman. And then I know at first he was like a little bit, scared, but I love that their relationship and their bonding. That was fantastic to see.
I agree. I definitely remember over the summer, I think they announced that the actor who plays Jared would be leaving the show. And I don't quite remember if they had mentioned exactly when he was leaving, but I agree, Taqualia. I thought he would have been on for at least a few episodes into season 2, but he wasn't. And so the fact that he right away is going to Denver was a little emotional. And I also agree. I think right away in this episode, we see Shaun already kind of coming out of his shell and trying to, acclimate and grow as a character. So that's going to be awesome. So much to see this episode.
Yes.
Right away, this episode picks up from where last season left off, rather, and with Dr. Andrews now president, we start off the episode by everyone getting reviews. Of course, he's like, Shaun, you need to be more communicative. Claire, you need to be more assertive. Morgan, don't be bossy.
Yeah.
What did we all think of their reviews? Spot on?
I think they definitely were spot on, but it didn't seem like they were taking those reviews to heart. They didn't seem like they were going to actually put that out into their work environment. I think it's something, of course, when you get a review, either good or bad, you got to kind of grow and mold yourself into those things to be more assertive or more communicative, which Shaun can do, but then it'll probably come off as brash and or too much for his actual interview. So I'm not interview, but for his actual progression for his job. But for the other 2 doctors, Claire and Morgan, I feel like they are still competing with each other so much so that that's going to get in the way of them trying to actually build one another in their careers and the atmosphere that they have to work in rather than working on themselves.
I actually thought they tried to take the reviews to heart a little bit. Like they started realizing like, oh, wait, he's right, because we start with Shaun, helping the homeless, and he's trying to have conversations and they don't want to talk to him. I just felt so bad for him. I was like, Shaun, this is not the place to practice, but I respect it. Like he's taking his review to heart. And then, we could see also with Claire and Morgan, Morgan's like, oh, let me try to give Claire some credit. And Claire was not really, I don't think really Claire realized. So I would say that Morgan and Shaun really tried with their feedback to like implement it, whereas Claire is just now realizing like, oh wait, it is a problem. I do just like give everyone credit instead of like praising myself. So I'm excited to see Claire grow a little bit in that way too.
I think she's afraid to step on any toes. I think by being assertive, by taking credit where credit is due, feels like she's stepping on toes of Melendez, of other surgeons, of her other residents. But that's obviously not the case.
Yeah.
And I think which will be good too, she can be be able to take a page out of Shaun's book, because he's very, very vocal, and when he gets those ideas and he's on a mission for something, it just comes like straight out of him. You may not know why, but they do a good they do good production and bringing it all back together in the show. But I think she could take a page out of Shaun's book as well, and then she might have encouraged and lifted up her own self-esteem, because we see towards the end of the episode that she does become more assertive, like, oh, I'll do whatever closure they needed to do on that woman's chest, and because I am the one that thought of that idea. So I was like, okay, round of applause for you. But we'll see if that still made her feel like boosted her self-esteem, or if it made her still feel like she was stepping on toes, like you said, and then maybe revert back to being shy.
Yeah, I think she's definitely going to grow in it more as the season progresses. But speaking of reviews, Shaun brings up with Jared, it's, why aren't you getting his review, which is a great segue into our next topic. It's his last day. It's his last day at St. Bonaventure before he heads out to Denver. And Jared, he doesn't have a good reputation right now at his hospital, obviously, because of everything that he did last season. What do you ladies think? Do you think Jared's trying to make the most of his last day, or do you think that he's too far gone with this hospital and he just needs to get out?
Yeah, I think he's just a reputation last season from assaulting a doctor, even though he was trying to protect and honor Claire's right, her virtue, her respect. I feel like he's too much right now. There's so much that's a cloud over his head in the eyes of the other doctors and attendings that I think it's a good thing for him to move on.
No, I agree. I do love the heroic sense of him helping Shaun on his last day with the homeless people, and him just standing by Shaun, even though Andrews was, I know some people would say a bully, but I think he was just trying to follow hospital protocol, because that's a lot of money, like for a patient who you're not going to get your money back. They don't have insurance. You're not. Well, this is what he initially thought. He didn't realize that this guy was like somebody else who probably does have insurance with his family, because we got to see his family towards the end. But yeah, I really respect them sticking to their gun and wanting to do what a doctor's supposed to do, which is help people no matter what situation they're in. And so I really like to see Jared and Shaun's relationship blossom. I really got to see it this episode, and maybe that could have been a little bit due to Freddie having, he's a writer on this episode, which was great. So, and I think that was what he said in an interview, is that was his favorite relationship to talk about in the premiere, Jared's last day. So I'm glad we got to see that.
I think also too, I'm going to miss Jared because he not that he pushes Shaun, but he makes Shaun think outside of himself, outside of his regular way and thinking and processing, where he just kept trying to push, you need to go be with Dr. Glassman. And he's like, well, I can't go do that. I think Shaun was thinking professionally. He was like, I don't need to be there. I'm not a brain surgeon. He's fine. It wouldn't, like, my presence being there wouldn't be helpful. He was thinking professionally rather than emotionally on the support side. And so then when he finally, like, it clicks to him, I think I snapped really loud, but it clicks to him that, oh, okay, so I can read my book and sit here and be supportive. So those things, I think Jared kind of pushes Shaun into realizing the other areas to where he can be more sensitive and more personable, I guess. Also, I'm a little salty that he and Claire can't have a long distance relationship. Maybe even a spinoff with Jared doing whatever he's doing in Denver.
That's a topic in itself that we will definitely get into just a little bit later, because I'm sure we all have thoughts on that, because that was one of the very last scenes that really got you just all choked up inside. But no, I definitely agree. I love that Jared is trying to push Shaun into being the emotional support that Dr. Glassman definitely needs at this point. And, as we get into the episode a little bit, we kind of realize that maybe Jared just kind of wanted to have one last, haha moment with Andrews when he brings the homeless man into the hospital, kind of thinking he has some kind of meningitis. What did you ladies think of the interaction between Jared and Andrews? More so, kind of, how did you take to Andrews in the beginning of this episode?
In the beginning, I thought Andrews was just being cocky, because he was trying to say quote quote hospital protocol, but that homeless project, I don't know if you guys caught that he said that was Dr. Glassman's project, and he threw the two doctors he doesn't like, on the project. So I was just like, oh, come on, Andrews. We all know you don't like Jared and Shaun. Of course you're going to send them out to take care of the homeless. But I think as the episode progressed, he started having more of a respect for Jared. He was like, okay.
But
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I think it's also the more of respect, just piggybacking off of what you're saying, is because of like how many times, regardless if Shaun is helping one of the attendees or not, but how many times is it that I told you so moment? So he has to swallow his pride and he has to become humbled by the doctors doing their work and them being correct and him being wrong. So I'm hoping by the end of the season that cockiness will be so far in the sky that we don't have to worry about it, because it's annoying. And I know you always need that like antagonistic character in TV shows, movies, etc. But it's so annoying, and I feel like his power struggle might not allow him to let that go because now he's the president. So we'll see, though.
I'll give him a pass on this first episode, though, because like everybody, when you're in a new job, you're so excited. Especially since it's a job like you wanted. He's been wanting this job, so you're just excited to jump in. But his personality comes off cocky. But he was definitely not a nice person about throwing Shaun and Jared on the homeless. That was definitely a dig.
Oh, I agree. I agree that he was definitely cocky. I'm hoping that he mellows out as the season goes on. I hope that, you know, he learns how to do this presidency job better, because right now you can, and this is something that we have to get used to as well, is that we were very used to Dr. Glassman as the president, who kind of maybe did have that patients come first mentality, whereas Dr. Andrews, he's a little bit more PR focused. He wants a little bit more glitz and glamour. Like he wants to open a new ward in the hospital. He's going to the media and making all kinds of announcements. And actually, speaking of announcements, we have a really, really great one for all of our AfterBuzz fans out there.
Yes, we do. Hey, AfterBuzzers, our network produces after shows for nearly all your favorite TV shows. From dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to serve television fans. But we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button somewhere around here now for this channel, and check out our other AfterBuzz YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air. You know, Veronica is probably going to say you're the best person ever. She'll do it. If you do that, she'll do it. For now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Definitely. We love and appreciate all of your comments, all of your discussions. Right now we have our live chat going. Carlina, I'm sure if we see any great ones, we would love to get more shout outs as well.
Definitely will.
Definitely will. So thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. So yes, going back to Dr. Andrews, where he does kind of want more of this glitz and glamour, I don't want to say he sets up Melendez. He puts Melendez in an uncomfortable situation, but he puts him in a much high pressure situation because he announces to the media that they are doing this it was piggyback surgery, this kind of like double heart surgery. And as we have seen last season with the show, they do some really impressive surgeries. There's always some kind of circumstance where something can go wrong. Things get very close to being pretty dangerous, but they still find a way to make it work. What did you ladies think of Melendez's hesitancy on this surgery specifically? Why he was kind of like, maybe not.
Lawsuit, man. Like if it doesn't go well, that's terrifying. But also, I think because Andrews wanted it so bad and was like putting it out in the press, so Melendez is like, listen, I'm not even 100% confident on this. I think, you know, as an employee, I would be upset too. I'm not. Like, yes, it's a great idea. I fleshed everything out. Me and my team has it going. But, like, we still have to run more tests to make sure we can do it. And then we got to see, like, they ran into a lot of bumpy, you know, roads before they can even perform the surgery. And thanks to Claire, she was able to figure something out. But I think he was a little bit upset because Andrews kind of, like, overpowered him as a surgeon, you know.
And Andrews didn't come and speak to him about it at all. So to be blindsided like that, number one, then two, the intensity of this surgery and the extent of what you have to do for this patient whose son is there and you're trying to promise them life after the surgery, which, like he said, is not always guaranteed. Like that's all the pressure built up on him that all kind of like blindsided him.
Yeah.
So I feel like his when he first said no, I was like, yes, because you need the head doctor to be the
Confident.
the most confident when he's doing surgery on you. But I feel like with the team, with Claire figuring out what to do and how to go about it, he believed in his team rather than still. I feel like he wanted that moment when they're in Dr. Andrews' office. I feel like Dr. Melendez still wanted to say no, that he couldn't do it. But then because he actually listened to Claire and Morgan and the other doctor, his attendees, he was more confident in doing it together. But yeah, I feel like I was glad he said no at first. Andrews has never been my favorite person yet. So we'll see when sometime this season, if it all turns around for me. I'm not going to bash him every day. I promise you all, I'm not going to bash Dr. Andrews. But yeah, we'll see when he starts to turn around, and I'll turn around too.
You should have like a tick mark of every time you bash
I
Dr.
should,
Andrews.
somebody in the chat want to help me out. That would be great.
I mean, I have to admit, like, so far he's not doing well with me either. Again, maybe it's because of the cockiness. Maybe it's because in this specific incident with Melendez, Dr. Andrews completely threw out what it meant to be a surgeon. We all have to remember that he was a surgeon before he took on this role of being president of the hospital. But he was so, because he wanted this job so bad, like that's all he was thinking was PR, being the best hospital, how can we make it better? And he completely kind of forgot how to be a surgeon. And I feel like Melendez is seeing right through to him and seeing, like, don't you remember what this job was meant to be about?
I think Zanae Copeland in the chat agrees for the most part. She says, I always appreciate Melinda's thought process. She says he's his favorite, probably one of her favorite characters of the show. So I think she's in agreement with us all.
Ooh, it's so hard to choose a favorite.
That it
It
is.
is hard.
It's show by showcase.
Sean, sorry, not hard for me. Sean.
Oh my gosh. But no, again, going back to the beginning with the reviews, this piggyback surgery was a great showcase for both Morgan and Claire to take the reviews to heart. I don't know why in the very beginning I thought Morgan wasn't trying as much as maybe Shaun was, even though she clearly was the most tentative, taking notes right away from the get-go, was like, it's Claire's idea. I don't know why I assumed that she wasn't going to be as helpful. Maybe it's just because her previous reputation of not being the kindest, I guess the more blunt personality of all of the residents. But I'm very happy that she took her critique to heart and is actually trying to not only support her fellow residents, but be less bossy.
Yeah.
I guess as you could say. But yeah. So that being said, before we go on to our next topic, I just want to remind everyone out there watching about iTunes. Of course, you can always watch along with us on YouTube. You can comment with us. You can discuss with us. You can be in our live chat. But for some of you, YouTube is not always, you can't always be on YouTube with us. But you can take us along with you on iTunes. Listen to us wherever you go. Please go there, rate, review, and subscribe. It lets our producers know that you love our show. It allows us to keep talking about this show, and we would appreciate it so much if you could go there, give us a listen, and again, rate, review, and subscribe. All right, ladies, let's talk a little bit about Dr. Glassman. I know we had touched upon him a little bit with Jared and trying to convince Shaun he needs a little bit more emotional support, but let's talk about him just a little bit further. So, and I guess this is just more of a theory because it wasn't necessarily confirmed, and if it was, I completely missed it, so I apologize. But what do you think was the main thing of him getting out of presidency? The fact that he's so ill, or the fact that Shaun went to Andrew saying, I messed up, and then the promise Glassman made at the beginning of the series, if he messes up, I step down? What do you think was the actual force that, I don't want to say drove him out, but made him step down?
That sole reason, because of the
so?
promise he made, because everyone was against Shaun except for him, because he's kind of fathered Shaun after his brothers died, so they have that relationship, and no one thinks, Andrews especially, and the other, Aoki, I can't think of her first name, but
the other
she
woman
used to be, or she is now the chief resident, or hold on, I have it somewhere. She is Allegra Aoki, chairman of the foundation that controls the hospital. So yeah, she also was against them as well. So Andrews and her were kind of in cahoots to get Glassman out by any means necessary. And so when that happened, and then they decided to tell the truth and not hide it, of course, because Shaun doesn't think that was morally right, that was their easy way to get him out of there. So I think that was the sole reason that he was let go. I don't think his brain tumor really had much to do with it. Not now, because it's still early and they think that they'll be able to get the tumor out, but the sole reason is because Dr. Shaun is now a liability, and now they're going to be able to keep their eyes on him from every point. And if one mess up, he's probably going to be out as well.
I love how you called him Dr. Shaun.
Did I?
You
I do
You
that
did,
interchangeably. Dr. Murphy, yeah.
But I love it. No, like
Thanks.
we call him Shaun. We sometimes call them Dr. Andrews.
Yes.
Like Dr. Murphy, Dr. Andrews. I love Dr. Shaun. It flies here. I loved it. I loved it.
Oh my gosh. I think it was a combination of both his health and Shaun, you know? So obviously, completely agreeing with what you said, but also, you know, his health, I think, played a part in it. There's only so much fight you have in yourself, and he probably wanted to save that for his surgery because he knows he has I think he kept saying it over and over that he has a long journey ahead of him.
Yeah.
So he's like, listen, nobody, you know, everyone's against Shaun. This is their way to get me out. But I think if he would have really wanted to stay, he would have convinced Shaun, like, listen, like, I think he even said that. He's like, do you, last season in the finale, he's like, what you want me to do? You want me to stop him and go against his beliefs? Like, he's like, no, go ahead. I think he was also tired of the fight too. Like, you know what? Let Shaun prove himself without me being here. And he thinks he can do it. And let him focus on, you know, Dr. Glassman to focus on his health. And then Shaun's also going to be there for them. So I think they're still there for each other, just in a different capacity, like more like friends now than colleagues.
Sure.
So I think this is really going to help their relationship, which is great.
Exactly. I think it's so important now that it's very unfortunate that it comes down to the fact that Dr. Glassman has this really big health issue. But I do love the fact that I think this season we are going to see their relationship become more friends, become more family, as opposed to I am your subordinate, essentially. You're the person who kind of helped me get this job.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what it always was. And so I'm very happy to see that part of the relationship grow. I do agree that he needs all the energy he can to fight this battle. And we see that in the very beginning, how a new oncologist comes back, and her name is Dr. Blaze. I like how we kind of learned that she got suspended, or, you know, she wasn't allowed in the hospital because she was doing drugs, and so now they test her. But Dr. Glassman's, one of his last duties was reinstating her to be his doctor. But you can even see he has probably been in the medical field for so long. He's so enrooted in being a doctor, practicing medicine. He does not know how to be a patient in the slightest, because he in his head is like, I know what these tests are. I know what this means. Like, I don't need to sit here for a test to come back and you to tell me the results. I can do it myself. What do you think? Do you think he's going to have a very difficult time just being a patient?
So just Sheldon says that doctors make the worst patients, LOL. So I think we could all agree with that. But I do think so, because you're so used to doing your job that you feel like nobody can do it better than you. And then it was good that Dr. Blaze told him, well, you know, if you can operate on yourself, you know, be my guest. It'll get the attendees to help him out. But if you can operate on yourself, be our guest. And so I think at that point, that's where he kind of was humbled. Like, no, of course you can't operate on yourselves, and especially brain surgery. So I think at that point is where he had to take a step back. So that's why we see him throwing the little balls at the trash can when he's in the waiting area waiting for all those tests, because there is a point where you have to, you enlisted Dr. Blaze for a reason. Let her do her job on you now. And you know the outcome, you know the things that could go on while you're there and you're open during brain surgery. But I think that's the part that's like so scary, because you've done it so many times in your profession, and then you have to tell the patients, good, bad, or ugly, the truth of what the extent of what was going on. So I do think that he's going to make the worst patient ever. Yeah.
I think once she put him in her, was it Dr. Blaze?
Dr. Blaze.
Once she put him in his place, he was kind of like, oh, okay, she's got this, maybe. Like, I think he kind of like respected her more after that. And I'm glad he's able to see, you know, from a patient perspective, like, you know, waiting on those tests. Yes, they do take a long time, doctors. We don't like sitting there all the time. And so, like, it was good to see from that perspective, and just being in the waiting room. And like, I love when it panned to the guy, like, who was also in the room with him, like, looking at him, like, throw the balls. He was like, listen, dude, everybody, and like, his face looked like said, like, listen, everybody has to wait. And then, like, he was just, like, so impatient. But I'm glad that, you know, when Shaun was there, Shaun was like, can you stop doing that? But it helped Shaun realize what, you know, with the homeless guy, you know, that he had a tumor. So that was really cool to see everything circle together, because if Glassman wasn't doing that, you know, because he kept missing. So that's why Shaun realized, oh, Glassman keeps missing. That's why Harry was missing when he was giving him the cup because both of them have brain tumors.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was like really cool.
I love when the show takes those little moments where Shaun kind of has like a little Jimmy Neutron brain blast moment where he puts it together and is able to find the solution to the medical problem. I love those little moments, but definitely I feel like Dr. Glassman is going to have such a terrible time trying to just sit back and be a patient because he's been in this field for so long. But I'm again kind of going back to the relationship and Shaun being his emotional support. I definitely hope that helps, and I think it will help him kind of slow down. Also, what happened to the girl from last season? Like the girl that Glassman was going out with?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I think she'll come back.
you think she'll come back?
Yeah, especially like right before the surgery. I think they might bring her back.
Yeah,
That would be nice.
I can totally see that maybe they broke it off because he's dealing with some big health issues and he doesn't want to have her be a part of that because it's so emotionally exhausting. But yeah, I was kind of wondering what happened to her and if she will make a return.
Yeah.
But definitely. All right, let's go into our next topic, kind of wrapping up the end of this episode with Claire and Jared.
Everyone is going in on the chat. They are so surprised. They are upset that the show ended that way. It was a great cliffhanger. There are a lot of opinions that they don't want to see Shaun with Paige. They want to see it with Claire.
Paige meaning Leah.
Leah.
Yes, sorry, that's her a real life name. Yes, with
Leah.
Leah.
Yeah.
Leah. So I think when I first seen it, I was just like, oh my gosh. I liked her last season, the fact that she gave Shaun freedom. Like the way in the moment and the time that he needed to just escape, just take this road trip, just do whatever we want to do at the drop of a dime, and to kind of lift some of the restrictions that he places on himself, just to let it fly and let it go and let him be himself for a moment.
She didn't walk on eggshells around him.
That was the second thing. Yes, she was completely just as blunt to him as he is with other people. But he unknowingly does, or he may do it, but it's not purposeful. In her end, it was purposeful, and to let him just check himself for a second too. But I don't want them to be. I don't want her to use Shaun. Number one, and I don't really want them to be together. Like, if she could be a good friend and if she has her life together and she's a little bit more stable, then awesome. But if she's just going to be here to use him and just to try to distract him from actually doing his doctor work and everything like that, then she can go. Bye-bye.
For Jared and Claire, this couple has had ups and downs and ups and downs. I feel like Jared has just tried so much with Claire to try to impress her and be a good boyfriend. And Claire was just like not appreciative of it. And so then when he's leaving, she's like, oh, I think we made a mistake. And he's like, no, you didn't. Because he saw it. You could tell Claire was not in love with Jared. You can tell. I think she's just nervous. Like, she's like, I don't have somebody looking out for me anymore at the hospital. Like, she kind of realized she's on her own now. Yeah. So that's kind of like what I think she was scared of, because that was her best friend.
See, I didn't think of that until just now. So I think that's a great idea. I was actually thinking that maybe she kind of had one of those moments where it's like she doesn't realize a good thing until it's gone. She didn't realize just how important Jared was to her until he's going to be gone, how much he looked out for her, how much not only their emotional relationship, but maybe even their intimate relationship meant to her. But it was very touching. It was very heartbreaking, because that entire episode too, like there were little moments where she's talking to Shaun and she's like, she wants to ask about him. She wants to know how he's doing. And I'm sure it took courage in her to have that last moment with him, because they didn't have closure. There was so much they needed to talk about that they clearly were not going to. And so that was probably very hard for her just to muster up the courage to have that final moment with him.
So I jumped like 10 feet ahead because of everyone's excitement in the chat talking about the wrong couple.
We let you keep going, girl. We let you keep going.
I think for everybody else that may have gotten confused, my apologies. But I feel you on that she lost, or she feels like losing a good thing until it was the last moment. And I'm glad he actually did say no, because they both need to be separated. I feel like she's not her Claire. She wasn't honest with herself during this whole time. I think because of her or more importantly, just because of her reputation. I don't think after Jared attacked, I can't think of the doctor's name from last season, in the point of trying to defend her, everything that went along with that. And then he tried to ask for her help, and she at that point didn't want nothing to do with it. She just wanted to hide, and she was just telling him for support. But as the boyfriend, he wanted to stand up and protect his woman. And after that, she got mad and tried to like just kick him off to the side. So at last season, I was mad about that, because even though you are working together in that type of professional atmosphere, there should be no reason that the doctor was coming to you in that manner. And yes, I want my boyfriend or husband to take up for me. I don't care what happens, but that's just me personally. But so I feel like it's a little too late now for her, which is sad. And I did the interview with the cast when they were at the Paley Center over the summer, and I asked her, I was like, can you and Jared please get back together? She was like, you are like the 100th person that has asked me that, but it's probably not going to happen. So it's not just us here that would like to see them together. People in the chat are so as well, this time for Claire and Jared, and then everybody else that she's been talking to as well.
Oh, that's great to hear. Well, we are running a little short on time, so let's get some quick overall thoughts of this, some quick final thoughts on this episode.
Oh, me. Okay. I was like, I know. I was like, we got you one. Final thoughts. Okay. So I don't know. I feel like I said everything I needed to say, but just I'm excited to see, like, Dr. Glassman and Shaun's relationships grow. That's really what I really want to see.
So I'm going to piggyback off of Billie Jean Girl 24, who says that Shaun does not like surprise, not a fan of surprises, which is actually true. So then just the way the ex-girlfriend just shows up in the hallway and she's like, hi, and you just see him look at her, and then it cuts to credits. So I don't know how he's going to take that. I think that's going to knock him off of his schedule a little bit. So I think that's going to be one thing that we're going to have to dive into next. And I think she's going to be there to help him confide in and support Dr. Glassman. She's going to replace the Jared in Shaun's life. And I think he's always going to kind of need a person in that area, because that's who his brother has always been to him. So hopefully we'll see more goodness come out of Leah.
I agree. I feel like this episode was so strong and just giving us a good platform to see where our characters are going to go this season. So I'm very excited for that. And on that note, guys, we actually have some news that came out about this episode. So, in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Hill Harper, who portrays Dr. Andrews on the show, he kind of gave us some fun little tidbits. As you had said, Carlina, at the beginning of the show, Freddie Highmore did help write this episode. Maybe some fans of the show knew that, maybe some didn't. So if you didn't, that's a fun little tidbit. That's why it was so good. But they also have a very strong writing team, as we have seen with all of last season as well. And then something else, I know that all three of us were kind of talking, we don't like Andrew's cockiness, we hope that he mellows out throughout the season. Well, actually, according to Hill Harper, they deleted a scene at the end of the episode where Andrews apologizes to Jared because, in the end there was something medically wrong with the homeless man. Right. So he apologizes to him. And, because he was basically threatening to ruin his medical career in Denver. So he kind of has that moment where he takes a step back and see. And I feel like that would have been helpful in that moment to have us as an audience step back and see he's not such a bad guy. Because he came off really strong this episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Show the person the side of him, the sympathetic side of him at least, or just in error, you genuinely just correct, oh, my apologies, I'm not calling Denver. Like, your job in Denver, say something, But yeah, that would have been nice to show.
It would. I think it would have definitely added a little something to his character, and I think it would have helped audiences for later seeing that he's going to grow. Yeah. Another question that was asked of him is, do we think he's ever going to go to Glassman and kind of ask him how seeking advice basically on how to be a president, or basically how to be a president. And he's basically saying, like, it's not out of the question, it's possibility. I think, again, we keep returning to this idea of cockiness, and it's going to depend, like, can he not be cocky enough to do that, considering, he probably wasn't the friendliest with Dr. Glassman, he wasn't the friendliest with the doctors, who Dr. Glassman was more, I don't want to say supportive of, but more close to, obviously, with Shaun. So, I don't know, what do you think? Maybe he might be able to go to him for advice?
That would be a great moment, but also, too, who he surrounds himself. And if Allegra's still in his ear, I think it's going to be much harder for him to kind of go to Dr. Glassman to ask for help, because usually, you know, when you're presidents of different corporations, excuse me, you do hinge on the last president just to see help, advice, the structure, what's going on, what can I do, what about this attendee, what about that attendee, you know, instead of just trying to learn it all from scratch for yourself. So I would love to see that moment if it happens, but I think Allegra's going to be like in his ear, and it's going to take a minute for him to get there.
Yeah. Definitely. If he goes and gets advice, I think it's going to be like how to manage Shaun. Mostly.
Yeah,
Like,
I can see that.
because he, to this day, Andrews doesn't know how to communicate with Shaun.
Yeah.
So I think if he's going to Glassman, that's mostly what it's going to be about.
That's true.
I can definitely see that happening. And then one of the final questions he received was describe what the second season will be like. And he basically said it will be smart, intense, and the characters are starting to show their stripes, which is how I felt about this episode. Again, was that it's a great platform to see where our characters are going to go.
Yes.
And the growth that they are going to make. So some fun tidbits on that one. And again, going back to another question he was asked was, should Dr. Glassman be worried? I guess, like, should we be worried about Dr. Glassman? And, you know, I think that's actually a great segue into our predictions, kind of wondering what will be his fate.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions. Girls, what do you think?
So I think, you see brain tumor, and you're kind of like, you know, a little bit about TV and how scripting. You're like, okay, either one, he's going to die and not come back, or two, he's going to be healed and come back in some form. I'm hoping for the latter, only because he is a really integral part in Shaun's life. And like you said, Carlina, that he's the only one that can kind of manage and communicate on Shaun's level. So I believe he'll come back in some function or some type of way, but I don't think it's going to be any like higher leveled position in the hospital.
I like that. I feel like she has that one covered, so let me move on to relationships. Jared and Claire, done. Shaun and Leah, I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch. I feel like they're going to be more friends than a couple, and if they are a couple, they're not going to last, because I kind of see the storyline eventually pushing Shaun and Claire together. So that's kind of where I see it going, and it would make sense based off of the show. It was originally on the show in Asia. Shaun and Claire do get together. Spoilers.
Could be different.
And then, it's heavily based off of it. And then for Glassman and Shaun's relationship, obviously I think Shaun's really going to be there for Glassman, but it's going to be a little bit difficult in the beginning because, you know, with the communication, because I can see like Shaun's still struggling to communicate with Glassman about it. He's just like, I'm going to sit here and read my book now. Like, you know, not really talk to him and be like, how are you feeling? You know, are you okay? Any questions? You know, so I feel like that relationship is going to develop more, and then Shaun's going to be able to work on his communication skills, which is what Andrew said.
I definitely agree in that when you see brain tumor, you immediately worry. This show hasn't done a whole lot just yet on kind of doing these really sad and shocking deaths of many main characters. But I wouldn't put it past them in this particular situation. I honestly think it could go either way with Glassman. And I guess as the series goes on, we will be able to kind of tell a little bit more where his health goes. In terms of relationships, I don't know about you girls, but last season I felt like I was seeing some sparks between Claire and Melendez. I don't know how much of a conflict of interest that would be, but I felt like I saw some sparks. So
that would be juicy.
That would be pretty juicy, right?
It would.
Yeah. So I definitely see that, because now with Claire and Jared out of the picture, we all kind of wonder, will romance spark again in this season? And to your point, Carlina, I don't think Leah and Shaun will really truly be a romantic couple. I feel like they will learn off of each other, but I don't think they'll ever be an actual couple.
Be really good friends.
They would be really, really good friends.
And do we have time for one more prediction?
One more prediction?
Okay, from the chat, Zanae Copeland thinks that there's going to be a big showdown between Morgan and Claire.
Ooh.
So that would be
That's a good
great
one.
to see.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah, good answer, Zanae.
I can definitely see that, just because I feel like Morgan is a very big personality where she always wants to be right. She always wants to be the one on top. And if Claire goes by her review and becomes more assertive,
yes, that would be awesome.
It could definitely cause some tension.
Yeah.
All good predictions. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. Ladies, where can the fans find you online?
Again, I am Taqualia. Come hang out with me at Taqualia_I am.
You guys can find me at Cooking with Carlina, and then on Twitter at Cook with Carlina.
Any other shows here at AfterBuzz you are a part of?
I'm a part of Chesapeake Shores on Mondays, which is fun.
And if you haven't checked out Lifetime's You, check it out. It is creepy, it is amazing, and it's psychotic. And I'm one of the hosts on the show. It airs Mondays at 7 on YouTube AfterBuzz TV Dramas, if you want to hang out with me then as well.
And again, I'm Veronica Valencia. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Veronica_V. You can also catch me Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. on the Outpost After Show. And that's all we have for today. So thank you so much for tuning in to our first Good Doctor After Show. And be sure to tune in and talk with us again next week.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.